Hey, Alex here with Avant-Garde 911R on Bring a Trailer. I'm here and we're gonna do a quick walk around on the EarthRoamer here. We're probably gonna start from the front, go to the back, and then I'll jump inside the truck portion, kind of go over some features in there, and then we'll go inside the actual camper shell and I'll show some cool features in there. But starting in the beginning, which is the front here. So EarthRoamer front bumper, you got a big old Warren winch. You also have these really nice, I believe they're, Baja design light bars. They're super trick. They're really bright. They put out a lot of light. You got some light pods here at the bottom. Making our way around to the side of the vehicle. They have their double bead rims with big old tires for all the off-roading capabilities. It has air ride suspension. The air ride suspension has the auto leveling, so it's great if you get to your campsite. I think it's 4 degrees, which it can adjust each way, which gives you a little bit of versatility on where you're gonna park. Right now, I believe it's in the second preset, which is the ride height, which you typically wanna be, cruising on. Third preset, I believe, is maxed out to the top if you're going some crazy terrain or if you're doing like a river crossing or something of that nature. Let's go to the side of the vehicle. These guys here, you can see them all around. They're on the doors and on the door getting into the camper. That's for additional locks that you can add onto each door for security purposes. Amp power steps that are lit as well, so at night you're not going to miss the step, or it's a pretty nice little touch there, and they're auto retracting as well. You have an air hookup here. You have air hookup here and on the other side as well. There is a generator on board. You can quickly air up your tires. Speaking of airing up your tires, this is the first year that they did these kind of heavy duty valve stems here. You can, just by twisting it, release tire pressure. And inside the cab, when we get there, I'll show you where you can, there's a little monitor in the center console that kind of shows you the PSI on each wheel and temperature. But you could quickly and easily remove air, add air, etc. In the rear, you have 2 bags for obvious reasons. You got a lot of weight in the back here. The camper is a fiberglass unibody shell. It is very strong for its weight. It's super light, but it's still a lot of weight added onto it. The chassis itself has been modified to be a little stronger, but the engine and transmission have not been modified. EarthRoamer's kind of vision was that you can, on your adventures, stop into any Ford dealership and have the engine serviced or anything like that, or transmission. On the side of the vehicle here, you have a power hookup here. This is for 110 or 125. Once we are going inside the camper, I'll have this hooked up directly to an outlet in our showroom here, just so that we can turn on all the features and show you all the little gadgets that are in here. You have 2 fuel tanks on board. One's 40 gallons, one's 50 gallons, but diesel. It's really convenient. There is a monitor on the center console, which you can see how much fuel you have in both tanks, and then a 6-gallon DEF fuel. This is for your gray water dump. Your shower and toilet are right here, so that's where your gray water dump is. Making our way to the back here, which I personally think is the most impressive. You got big 2 storage boxes here. This one primarily in EarthRoamer, kind of their vision was just for storage, so it's nice and empty, and it's weather tight with the weather stripping. It locks, so you can put your expensive goodies in there. Super heavy duty aluminum, be pretty hard to break in. This one, EarthRoamer did offer this to be an outdoor kitchen. So they would have like a stove and all that and extra compartments here. You can have it outfitted that way, but the client who spec'd this wanted it to be just storage because there is a kitchen on board. So closing that up, this is their own design with the releases at the bottom. They wanted it to be a super easy system. So closing it and opening it, there's just a little lever here that you pull. They're fairly light because of the hinging and the system that it's on, so it's really easy. You got 2 bike racks here, so you can put two bikes. There comes with locks as well. Now, once these are open, you have access to the rear winch. There are 3 winches actually on this rig. You have the front one, you have the rear one. You can see it here if we open it up. You have access to it there. But the third winch is for the spare tire. A lot of people ask, you know, how do you swap the tire, especially if you're by yourself? Right behind the sleds here that get you out of any sticky situation, let's say whether it be mud or snow or sand. But there's a winch back there. Here's a receiver. All the kits are inside, and there's a really nice instruction kind of pamphlet to step by step of how to lower this and raise the other one. But you would essentially just winch this down. If you are by yourself and you don't have assistance, these do weigh a ton. They're like, I think they're 170 pounds roughly per wheel. So the winch would definitely be the way to go. These 2 compartments here are for your rear storage. If you open up this one, 2 retractable steps come down, which is a nice touch. This is where your Warn winches remotes are. There is a third one, that one is inside. Nice axe. This whole shelving system is lit up. So if you're at, you know, it's dark and you can't see that well, that's fully lit up, and so you can access the things you have in there. There are, if you take a look up there, there are LED lights that go around the entire, there's one in the front, the rear, and both sides. So there's plenty of lighting to go around. And then this compartment here, as of right now, we have, you know, the diag tool, the tire pressure monitoring system, extra tools and things that you need if you're in a pinch and you need to get something done. A spare remote here, spare fuses, winch batteries. This is the exterior locks that I mentioned earlier that are on all those doors. So those keys for them and all the locks are in there. And then on the far right here, you have an air hose that hooks into that quick connect ports that I showed you earlier. And you have a bottle jack right there. But it being this long, you could easily store skis, you could put a ladder in there, you know, fishing poles, you know, it's pretty well equipped to take on any adventure that you may be going on. So let's close this up and we can make our way to the passenger side. Now that we're at the passenger side, this is where you have the water fill. Fairly large tank on here, so fill water here, and you do have an outside shower as well. I did post some photos of the little handle and the temperature on there. It does have a hot water tank on it, or a heater for the water, I should say. Primarily, they intended the coolant from the engine to heat the water, but there is a plan B if you're not driving in, it's not warm or it's not idling. There is a heater that can heat up the water. From there, you have another exterior outlet. All the windows all around they do pop out. There are screens on them as well. So you have one on this side, you have one on the driver's side, and in the front you have 2 that pop up kind of where the bed's at. But let's go ahead and hop in the cab, and then we can go over some cool things that they did on the inside here. All right, hopping on the inside here. I did turn on the truck because I wanted to kind of demonstrate a few things in here, but it's pretty stock minus a few things. So the center console, they dropped down, and they added these armrests, which is, I think, a nice little touch, which gives you this panel here. This is that monitoring system that I told you about that does the 2 fuel tanks, the main and auxiliary, and it gives you the amount that's in there. You get 55% and 50% there. This is another monitoring system. This tells you about your battery, your usage, your charging, your gray water, your fresh water. So if you can go through the screens here and you can see, you know, if the charger's working, the solar panels are working, how much gray water you have, what's the voltage, how much fresh water and all that, which is, I think, a pretty nice feature. So you don't have to be inside the camper to know those things. The E-Level, really cool, from AccuAir. So when I was mentioning earlier, so it has a fully automated leveling system, so it'll drop down each corner to kind of get you level. But if for whatever reason you're out in the middle of nowhere and you have to level it yourself, you can adjust each individual corner, or you can just do the rear, just the front, or you can hit a button and go to one of the presets. Like I mentioned earlier, one is low, like all the way down. It's typically, I would imagine, if you're camping or something like that, you're at the campsite. 2 is riding around, driving, no problems, anything there. And then if you're in a really sticky situation like a river crossing or some really rough terrain, that's where I would go to 3. And then Ford naturally has, on the off-road screen here, it shows you your kind of the angle of degree of which the vehicle is at. So you can kind of mess with that to get to 0 degrees there. I believe 4 degrees is typically how much they'll adjust up to. So choose your parking spot wisely. Up here, the auxiliary switches. The first 2 are for lights, second low. So you have the different pod there. You have your off-road lights, which is the big light bar in the front there. Those are extremely bright, and it's a nice thing to have, especially if it's if you're in the middle of nowhere with no street lights or anything like that, which is where I'd hope to be with this rig here. Then the last 2 switches, you have the backup camera. I think it's a nice feature. You don't have to be in reverse. You could be driving and have the backup camera on. Or if you're going over some rough terrain, there's a mid-chassis camera. And so this is facing forward, so you see what's oncoming. If there's a big boulder, rock, or something, you can kind of avoid it from there. But that's super nice to have it. Apple CarPlay, obviously, and then the factory, everything else is factory there. And inside the center console here, there's just a quick little tidbit on the fuel system and the tanks. I did take a photo of this. This is in the gallery, so you can quickly reference that if needed. And then this is the tire pressure monitoring system that I mentioned earlier. So you can also go from, not only you can see the PSI that you have, you can also see the tire temperature, which is nice to know. All right, so back here, they got rid of the bench that normally is in the back of these trucks, and they put 2 captain's chairs, same armrest situation as in the front. They are heated. You have an outlet back here for if you're going on a long drive or something, and the kids or the significant other needs, like, I don't know, a Nintendo Switch or something to play with. But yeah, you do have an outlet back here, which is pretty factory and forward, but it's a nice feature. If I tilt this one forward, you have a sub back here, which is the audio system in this rig that kind of went above and beyond. Inside the camper and in here too, the speakers are all upgraded. This thing just bumps. It's super cool. These panels here, let me hop up here and I can demonstrate. So these are insulation panels. It's kind of a foam that is an insulation material, and what they did is they wrapped it in the same material that the seats are wrapped in. So it kind of seems, it ties it all in together. It doesn't seem like it stands out. These are used to separate the camper bit from the truck part for 2 reasons. The first one, their intentions was heat. So if you're camping somewhere super cold, you're able to protect some of the cold air that's coming in through all these windows here instead of having to insulate each additional window. The other bit would be just to have less light coming in from here. But they're super easy. They just pop right out. And these side bits here pop out as well. And then when you don't want these in, there is storage underneath the bed, which these all nicely tuck into. Then you have your 2 curtains here. Go side to side there, and then you can go back into the camper portion. It is separated and insulated between both. It's a piece of kind of insulation foam, and it is also wrapped in the same material that the seats are wrapped in. I mean, the attention to detail on this thing is wild. They've really thought of everything. But let's go ahead and go into the camper portion, and we can go over some things there. All right, let's go check out the camper portion. Before we go inside, this panel right here controls the exterior lighting and interior lighting. And right here, you have the awning control. You just press a button and it automatically goes out. Press a button and it comes back in. It also has the built-in, let's say for whatever reason, the truck turns on, it will auto retract to prevent you driving off with the awning fully extended. But yeah, goes out. There's lighting on the inside of the lawn or awning. Just popped them on. Their LED strip on there. You also do have the other LEDs that I mentioned earlier there. But come on in, take a look at the inside. All right, so right when you walk in here, this is the panel I was telling you about. You got some speakers up here. There are speakers throughout. Notice, I mean, the subs also behind the 2 captain chairs in the rear. You can control the zones of which the speakers play, so you can choose where, you know, sound is coming out of, and that's whether you listen to Pandora, Sirius, your phone, or watching a movie or something like that. But in here, if I unlock that real quick, you can see kind of, this is a common theme in these EarthRoamers. Everything is nicely labeled. Everything is fully, you know, cable management to the nines. It's very tidy. It's very easy to replace parts, very easy to source problems, or if there's an issue, troubleshooting, just with how organized everything is, and it's really nice. Closing that up, all of these here are just storage. There's quite a bit of storage. They really utilized all the space they can for storage. Let me open up a lower one so you can see a little bit easier. But these are nice drawers with locks on them, so they're not going to be opening or closing while you're driving or off-roading. Since we're here, the kitchen portion. This is why the client didn't opt for the outdoor kitchen, because you have the 2 inductive stoves on top here. You have a decently sized sink here, cutting board that's custom cut to fit into the sink portion and it won't slide around or fall out. There's soap dispenser, hot water, or filtered water here. If I open up this guy down here, trash pulls out. You got some storage back here, you got a broom, but under here is where all of the plumbing is, and you have all the filters that you can easily change there. The cutting board does stow away if you don't want it out. There's a little leather pouch that you can slide it into, and it allows you to get it out of the way. If I can get it, there we go. And it just Velcros there, and then bada bing, bada boom. Nice and tidy. Then you have additional storage. I mean, the sky's the limit. There's, you know, put silverware, hot sauce packets in here. This guy pops out here. This is probably where I'd put my cups and glassware there. More storage. And this is a pretty, like I mentioned, a pretty common theme throughout this. You've got storage everywhere. Really nice lighting underneath the cabinets. You also have it on this side as well. Coming back here, this is your closet. You do have an outlet down there, has a vacuum to keep it nice and tidy in here. Nice hangers and a full-size mirror. So ladies, you get a full-size mirror in here out in the middle of, I don't know, Alaska or the desert. It's a nice little touch. This door right here, I'll open it all the way, is the shower and the restroom. You have a nice little curtain here. Just hooks there, allows you to capture as much water inside there. It doesn't leak out. There's a ton of room. It's actually quite spacious. You have your shower wand over here with temperature control. You have 2 soap dispensers, whether that be your conditioner, shampoo, or all that. You have this little clothes hanger string there, so you can dry your clothes, because this does have a full vent in here. So it can dry out clothes and there won't be any moisture buildup or anything like that, which has a nice fan. There is a humidity control feature, so if it is humid, they'll automatically kick on. Then you have your medicine cabinet here for all your toiletry needs, sink here, and toilet paper down here. Super cool. 2 mirrors also. So ladies, it's really looking good, and multiple mirrors here. Next, you have a decent sized fridge. Most of these campers have those kind of ice chest cooler fridges. Nope, here you have a full size, or I wouldn't say full size, but a decent size freezer here on the top, and on the bottom here you have a fridge. So ton of beer can fit in here. I don't know, tequila, whatever fancies you. Then you have a convection microwave here, which is pretty cool. For popcorn for movie nights, quick dinner, if you don't feel like cooking anything on the stove or anything like that. But yeah, super sweet there. Now looking this way here, towards the front of the EarthRoamer, I mentioned the 2 windows. They do pop out and go both ways. You have a going down a net to essentially not let any bugs in. You can pop it open if you're in a nice area with good weather. Then the other way is a full blackout curtain. So if you're camping in Alaska or something like that, where it's daytime most of the day, that time of year, you're able to kind of seal things off and get some sleep and shut eye if needed. Looking at the couch here, this couch is very versatile, I would say. Not only can you use it as a little workstation here, but if you are cooking and you're needing a little more surface area to do something or a project, you just pop this cushion off here, and you could do that with both of them. And they're motorized, and it only takes a second here. You got more counter space. And then this one just pops off also and allows you to have a little more workspace if you're doing something there. Bottom portion here also slides out to give you a little more comfort if you are just lounging. Because the TV up here at the bed, TV at the bed does pop out and you can watch it while you're cooking or something like that. Or, on the other hand, it does tilt this way and it goes down and allows you to sit on the couch and watch some TV. Pretty cool. They thought of a lot of these little creature comforts. This guy here, the tabletop does come down and go down. Continuing on the whole storage thing, more compartments up here, down below as well. You have additional storage here. There should be one more here. Just a ton of storage. Another thing I could segue into is if you were curious at all about how am I going to remember all of the little nuances of this thing, it comes with a ton of manuals and literature and all that. But the part that I really like personally is the owner's manual for the whole EarthRoamer, which not only goes into great detail about each component on here, nicely organized and labeled, but let's say you want procedure and stuff, there's photos and it gives you instructions on how to operate it, what you want to do, what not to do, which makes it really user friendly and anyone can hop in here and enjoy it. And everything's nicely labeled and organized. So, huge win in my book. But moving on with the walk around here. This is the control panel here. This is essentially mission control. You have all the fan controller, the heater, there's a diesel heater on board, there's air conditioning system here, the inverter controllers here, all of the individual lightings. There's solar panels on the roof, you can turn them on and off here. You can see how much you're charging there. You can also see this is the same kind of monitor that's on the center console in the front of the cab. So you can kind of go through and see what all your statuses are. From there, and I do like showing this part here, once again, everything's super nicely labeled and organized, and it makes it super just nice to work on if needed, if service work needs to get done. I've been in a lot of these kind of conversion vans and campers, and it's an absolute nightmare behind the scenes. So seeing this, you're getting into something that's super high quality and well thought out and done. Let's close that. More lighting on the ceiling here. You do have some lighting at the top of the cabinets. And then now we've made it to the bed. It's a decent sized bed here. You have some reading lights on the three corners there. This window here, it has a shade, and then it also has a net as well, but it's a hatch. So this is how you would access the roof if you need to do, some stargazing, if you throw on some lawn chairs and watch the sunset, or if you need to clean off the solar panels or something like that, that's how you would access it. Then under the bed, if I can get to it, under the bed houses the stairs. Which makes it really easy to get up and out of bed if you had a few cocktails or something like that. And then on either side of the bed, I had those insulation pads that separates the cabin of the truck to in here are easily, nicely stowed away under there. There's one on that side, and there's another one on this side here. Then there's even more storage behind the headrest here, which allows you to put away anything. You know, I would probably have a gun there, personally, if I'm camping, but that's a great place to store any additional items. Then this is your media center right here. You have your direct TV, you have the sound system I mentioned earlier. You can choose the zones or choose what music you play, that's there. And then all the remotes for the TV and direct TV and all the other little guys are in here. But yeah, I mean, going around this rig and getting familiarized with it, I mean, it's super cool. There's a lot of great features, super high quality built, things are done in a very tidy fashion. And it's, you know, from 2017, and it looks brand new. You know, it's been well kept, and the craftsmanship really does show. So if you have any questions, please use the contact seller button. We can be happy to answer any questions. If you'd like to come and see it, use the contact seller button to set up an appointment. And if you're interested in 911R representing a car for you, let's start a conversation, use the contact seller button, and we can talk. Good luck.